Okay, so today we'll be talking about general mathematics, particularly about functions, rational functions, or rational equations, to be exact. So represent this rational equation through table and graph. Identify whether the graph forms a straight line or a curve. Okay, so dito, sa table or yung tabular method, ang kailangan mo lang kasi dyan ay yung x's and y's. Okay? Oops. X and Y's. X and Y. Now take note that Y is just equal to P of X. Diba? Y is equal to F of X. Now P of X, same lang din yan sa F of X. Kasi function notation din naman tawag dyan. Diba? Function notation. Basta ganito lang yan. Kung ano yung nasa inside niya or yung tinatawag nating independent variable, dapat ganun mo rin i-represent yung nasa right side ng equation. Okay? Ayan. So, P of X to, dapat X lang din yung mga variable na nakikita mo dyan. Walang iba. Okay, ganun siya. And then, yung madalas na ginagamit dito kapag tabular method ay yung unang makikita mo sa number line. Which is, of course, gitna dyan is 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4. Minsan, umabot ng 5. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, singit natin, negative 5. Pero madalas hanggang negative 4 to, start negative 4 to positive 4 lang siya. Pero sige, gawin natin 5 kasi for the sake of graph, mas accurate yung makukuha natin na points kapag ganoon. Okay, if x natin is negative 5, solve for y. If x natin is equal to negative 4, solve for y. So on, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and lastly 5. Ayan. Haba. 11. Yeah. 11. 11 values. 11 points. Kumbaga. Okay. So, dito naman tayo sa next. Next pa. Ayan. So, ano yung P of X? That is equal to x squared plus 1 over x plus 1. Na-evaluate daw muna natin to at x is equal to negative 5. Left to right tayo. Simply direct substitution lang to. Negative 5 squared plus 1 over negative 5 plus 1. And that is P of negative 5 natin ay negative 5 squared. That is just the same as 5 squared, di ba? Kasi negative number, pag na-raise mo to the even power, so magiging positive siya. 25 plus 1 over negative 5 plus 1, that is negative 4. Yeah? So P of negative 5 is 25 plus 1, that's 26 over negative 4. And simplify. That is divisible by 4. Yeah? Divisible by 2 rather. So 13 over 2. Yeah, 26 is not divisible by 4. 24 yung divisible by 4. Tsaka 28. So, pinagitnaan lang nila sa 26. So, ayun, 13 halves. So, ayun yung P of negative 5. Negative 13 halves. Ayan. So, what about next? Negative 4 tayo. Iba ito dapat na lang natin. And P of diretso na natin. Ayan. P of negative 4. That is equal to negative 4 squared plus 1 over negative 4 plus 1. And P of negative 4 squared, that's 16 plus 1 over negative 4 plus 1, that's negative 3. And P of negative 4 is 17 over negative 3. So, ayan. Pat na rin natin. Ilagay natin sa table. Negative 17 over 3. Next is, negative 3. Ayan, isa-isayin lang natin yan. Yun yung goal dito. Negative 3. Yun natin ang division. That is direct substitution. Negative 3 squared plus 1 over negative 3 plus 1. So P of negative 3, 3 squared. or negative 3 squared, parehas lang yan sila. 9 plus 1 over negative 3 plus 1, negative 2. Okay, p of negative 3, that is 9 plus 1, that's 10, divided by negative 2. And that, oh, bakit yung pesos to? Hindi naman peso sign. Ayan. Okay, so p of negative 3, that is negative 5. Negative 5. Next is negative 2. Okay. P of negative 2, that is nothing but negative 2 squared plus 1 over negative 2 plus 1. Peso sign na naman. Okay. Negative 2 equals, ayan. So negative 2 squared, that's 4 plus 1 over negative 2 plus 1, that's negative 1. And p of negative 2, 4 plus 1, 5 over negative 1, that is, oops, that is just the same sa kanina, which is negative 5. Okay, negative 1. Next page ulit. P of, sulat ko na lang, x squared plus 1 over x plus 1. Okay, negative 1. P of negative 1. And palitan lang din lahat ng x ng negative 1. Ayan. Oops, naging undefined. Okay, p of negative 1. Negative 1 squared, 1 plus 1 over negative 1 plus 1. So p of negative 1, 1 plus 1, 2, negative 1 plus 1, 0, and this is undefined. This is an example of undefined. Okay, division by 0 is undefined because you can't divide by 0. Kaya hindi natin siya malalagyan. Kumbaga, ayan yung asymptote niya. Or kapag indeterminate siya, that is 0 divided by 0, so butas siya. So dyan, undefined siya at x is equal to negative 1. So ayan yung magiging vertical asymptote niya. Okay. Kasi pag sinabi natin ganun, vertical asymptote, kumbaga opposite siya kumbaga complement siya ng domain. Na lahat ng values bukod doon. Kasi ganun yung domain eh. So, yung sinabing domain, set of all admissible values of the independent variable. Kaya ganyan siya. Okay, undefined, so walang point yan. So next is 0. 0 squared plus 1 over 0 plus 1. P of 0, 1 over 1. And p of 0, that is just 1. Okay, kaya pa-plot natin siya. So, at x is equal to 0, the function is just equal to 1. Next, okay. P of positive 1. Ayan. P of 1 naman, evaluate natin. So, 1 squared plus 1 over 1 plus 1. And that's P of 1. 1 squared, or 1 plus 1, that is 2. 1 plus 1, that is also 2. So, P of 1 natin is 2 divided by 2. That is also equal to 1. Okay, so 1 din siya. Ayan, so next is P of 2. Ayan, P of 2. So 2 squared plus 1 over 2 plus 1. So P of 2, 2 squared 4 plus 1, 5, 2 plus 1, 3. 5/3. Last 3. So pag 3 naman, next na tayo. P of 3. Right ko lang, P of x. X squared plus 1 over x plus 1. And then P of 3. 3 squared plus 1 over 3 plus 1. P of 3. 3 squared, that's 9, plus 1, that's 10, over 3 plus 1, that's 4. Simplifying this, 10 divided by 2, that's 5. 4 divided by 2, that's 2. 5 halves. Ayan, 5 halves. Next, that's 2. P of 4. And that is 4 squared plus 1 over 4 plus 1. P of 4. 4 squared 16 plus 1, that's 17. Then 4 plus 1, that's 5. So, 17 over 5. Hindi na yan masisimplify kasi co-prime sila. Pag sinabi natin co-prime, ayan. So, not necessarily prime numbers agad sila. Pero pag sinabi natin co-prime, ang greatest common factor nila ay just 1. Okay? Ayan, GCF nila is just 1. Which is, diba, since ito, 17 times 1 lang to, since prime yan. So, 5 times 1, yung factors niya. Diba? Kaya, 1 lang yung greatest common. So, co-prime sila. And kapag ganun, ayan na yung simplest form nila. Okay. Lastly is P of 5. So, that is equal to 5 squared plus 1 over 5 plus 1. So, P of 5, 5 squared, 25 plus 1, that's 26. Then 5 plus 1, that's 6. And simplifying this, divided by 2, that's 13. Divided by 2, that's 3. So, in 13 thirds. Ayan na, kompleto na. Kompleto na yung table. 13 thirds. Na pwede na siguro natin i-graph. Dito na lang natin i-graph. Ang pangit. Meron ba yan dito? I think meron naman. Oh, nice. Ito. Ayan. Okay. So, first, this point, -5. Ayan. Bakit tayo? Okay. -5, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ayan. So, ano niya is negative 13 halves, and 13 halves is 6.5. Negative 6.5. So, negative, third quadrant, di ba? So, this is positive, negative, negative, positive, negative. Yan. Ayan yan. First quadrant, plus, second quadrant, minus, third quadrant, minus, fourth quadrant, plus, minus. So, ayan. Clear natin. So, ayan. -5, negative 6.5. So, pababa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, nandito yung point na yan. Okay, so, hindi na natin labelan kasi parang gugulo lang siya. Next, -4 and 17 thirds. Negative 17 thirds. And negative 17 thirds is just negative 5.67, approximately equal to. So, -4, then negative 5.67, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then medyo kalahati. Yeah, something like that. Next, -3, -5. So, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ayan. Next, -2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ayan, maghalos pantay sila. Ayan. Or pantay talaga. -1, that is undefined. So, ayun yung kinatukoy nating vertical asymptote. Kaya ayun yung sinasabi kong vertical asymptote. Ayusin natin yung line niya. Kaya, gamitin natin siya ng arrow. Then, red na lang. Move ko na lang siya. Ayun yung vertical asymptote. Pag sinabi natin asymptote, ayun yung line. Kung saan, palapit ng palapit dun yung graph, pero hindi siya tatama. So, ibig sabihin ito, pag iti-trace natin yan, pag ganito na yan, kahit hindi natin alam to, kung anong point yan, given the asymptote, malalaman na natin kung paano yung maging ano niya. So, trace natin siya, tapos pag ganyan na yan. Ayan. So, palapit lang siya ng palapit sa, yung graph rather, palapit ng palapit sa line, pero hindi siya tatama. Ganun siya. Then, dito naman tayo sa kapag, lagpas na tayo sa, nasa right side, yung vertical asymptote, kumbaga. Okay, so that is 0, 1, 0 yung x natin, then 1 is taas na tayo. Oops, change color. Ayan, 0, 1. So, something dito yan. And that is what we call the y-intercept. Pag sinabi natin y-intercept, yung 0 mo, yung x mo is 0. Okay, so ayan. Y-intercept point yan. So, 0, 1 yung y-intercept nito. Which is, ayan yung point na nandun mismo sa y-axis. Ayan. Okay, so next, 1, 1, 1, 1. So, andito rin siya. So, pantay din sila. So, alam na mangyayari pag ganyan siya. Pero tuloy natin. 2, 5/3. 1, 2. 5/3 is 1 and 1.67 rather. So 1, 2, then 1 point. Dito yung 2 na lang. Assume natin sa somewhere. Dito sa ano nila. Halfway. Ayan. So next, 3, 5 halves. 5 halves is just nothing but 2.5. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, 1, 2.5. Dito yung 3. So assume natin na dito siya. Ayan. So next, 4, and then negative, positive, 17/5. 17/5, 3.4. Ano, pag multiply ka pala ng 5, ano lang ta? Ito, 8 times, kasi di ba, pag yun, 17 divided by 5, that's just the same as 17 times 1/5. Diba? So, paano ko ba makakuha ng 1/5? That is 2 divided by 10. Diba? So, ibig sabihin, times 2 mo muna yung 17, saka divide mo yung 10. 17 times 2, that's 34. And dividing by 10, that's, you just have to move the decimal place to the left. Yeah, 3.4. So, ayan. 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1, 2, 3.4. Ito na lang yung 4. So, 3.4, somewhere, ano nila? In between. Yeah. The next is 5 and 13/3. Ayan, 13/3, 4.33333. 10. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then, 1, 2, 3, 4.3. Dito na lang. So, ayan na yung maximum. So, ayan. Pag iti-trace natin iyan, ito yung magbubuo natin. Yan. Klaro ba? So, ayan. Palapit lang din siya ng palapit sa graph. Sa line, rather, yung graph. Pero hindi siya tatama doon. So, ayan yung line yun, tinatawag nating asymptote. So, ayan. Since vertical siya, the vertical asymptote, may horizontal asymptote din tayo dyan. Kaso ang horizontal asymptote dyan, wala pala. Kasi may, ang goal natin doon sa horizontal asymptote. Okay, para makuha natin rather, yung horizontal asymptote, may conditions kasi yan. Una, if yung degree ng numerator mo, let's say, ito na lang, let m, or m na lang, m be the degree of the numerator. The numerator. What I mean sa degree dito is that yung highest exponent. Okay? Sulat ko. Numerator. And then, yung n is the degree of the denominator. Denominator. Now, if yung m mo is greater than n, which is the example of this, di ba, x squared to, so this is a quadratic function over, since to the first lang yan, okay, so linear lang to, or first degree equation. So, since greater than siya, okay, ang magiging asymptote natin dyan, wala kang horizontal asymptote, pero oblique. Oblique or slant. Ayan, which is, for example, ito yan. Diba? Paslant yung mabubuo mo dyan. Ayan, paslant. Pag ganyan. Yung tawag natin dyan, ayan, pas. Pero mali yung pagkakadraw ko. So, pwede ba yung remove? Something like that. Di siya accurate kasi, syempre, hindi, ay yung pagkakasulat yan. Kaya mas maganda pag yung gamit tayo ng paratus para dyan. Pwede yung Desmos or GeoGebra, Symbolab, pwede yan sila. Ayan, so ayun yung oblique. Ayan. Oblique siya. Pero paano makuha yung equation yan? Paano makuha? So, simply, i-divide mo lang sila. Ganun lang gagawin mo dyan. I-divide lang natin yan. Paano? By long division or synthetic. Okay? Long division or synthetic. Okay? So, for example, ayan. For example, is that one. That function itself. Ayan. So, ano yung x squared plus 1 over x plus 1? Ay, kung nakalimutan nyo na, mag-synthetic division. Maganda to. Yung p of x, tinreat ko na as y kasi same lang naman sila. So, x squared plus 1 over x plus 1. Okay, synthetic division, kunin mo muna yung 0 ng denominator. So, x plus 1 is equal to 0, then x is equal to negative 1. And ito yung gagamitin natin as, ayan, yung dividend. Divisor rather. Divisor yung i-divide, di ba? Dividend yung, kumbaga kapag yung sa long division natin, ito yung dividend, and ito yung divisor. Divisor or denominator, dividend, or the numerator. Ganun lang. Okay, negative 1, tapos nililist lang natin to. Pero, dapat wala siyang, hindi siya nag-skip. Kumbaga, since x squared iyan, so dapat ang sunod is x to the first. So, since wala, pwede natin siyang i-treat as 0x. And sunod, yung constant na, or x to the 0, di ba? Pag sinabi mong x to the 0, that is just 1. And a number kapag na-raise mo to the 0th power, that's just equal to 1. Or simply, multiply mo lang sa coefficient niya, kaya yan, constant lang siya. So, plus 1. Okay, and then ang gagamitin lang natin dyan ay yung coefficients nila. Ba 1, 0, 1. So, lalagay natin yan dito. 1, 0, 1. Okay, unang gagawin is bring down this first one. Then 1 times negative 1, that is negative 1. Then 0 minus 1. For 0 plus negative 1, same lang yan sila. That's also negative 1 because 0 is additive identity. Ibig sabihin, whatever you add or subtract 0, that's just always equal to the number. The negative 1 times negative 1, that's positive 1. And 1 plus 1, that is 2. So, itong 2 na to, ayan yung remainder. Pero, yung sa line na tinutukoy ko, okay, i-disregard natin sa remainder. So, ito lang yan siya. So, paano ito magiging line? Okay, take note that quadratic, di ba? Yung numerator natin, dinivide natin sa linear. So, ang result niya or yung quotient niya ay linear din. Kasi mababawasan to ng isa. So, from x squared, magiging x to the first na lang siya. Then, ito na yung constant. Di ba? So, ibig sabihin, kapag dinivide mo raw ang x squared plus 1 sa x plus 1, that is, ang quotient niya ay x minus 1, right? Then, yung remainder is ito, 2. Then, simply copy the yung divisor natin, which is x plus 1, which is true, di ba? Kasi x plus 1 times x minus 1, di ba? Ganyan tayo convert ulit natin from mixed fraction into improper. Di ba? Naalala nyo pa yung sa basics? Yung sa simple math, nung elementary, 3 divided by 2, or 3 halves. 3 divided by 2, that's 1. 1 times 2, that's 2. And 3 divided by 2, that's 1. So, diba? This can be represented as 1 and 1 half. Diba? So, ganun lang din yan dito. Yung numerator or yung dividend natin, ayan, dinivide natin sa divisor. So, ayan, kumbaga, how should I put this? Numerator divided by divisor, di ba? So, that is equal to the quotient nila plus the remainder divided by the divisor. So, ganyan siya. Okay, so ito yung quotient, ito yung remainder, ito yung divisor. Ganyan. So, paano natin ma-check? Pwede nating ibalik siya as ganito. Paano? Multiply mo lang tong denominator or divisor natin sa product. Ay, sorry, sa quotient. Sa quotient. So, diba this is a special product? Diba? X plus 1, x minus 1. Naalala nyo pa? That is difference of two squares. Diba? A minus b times a plus b. Diba? That is a squared minus b squared. So, ibig sabihin, x minus 1 times x plus 1, that is equal to x squared minus 1. Okay. And then, so, ayan na yung ito. Then, i-add natin si 2. So, x squared minus 1 plus 2. And that is nothing but equal to x squared plus 1, which is yung dividend natin, original dividend. So, same sila. Kaya tama. Tama itong nakuha nating quotient. So, ayan din yung line. Yan yung horizontal asymptote na ito. So, that is y is equal to x minus 1. And, masasagot na natin yung tanong. X minus 1 ba? Yeah. So, masasagot na natin yung tanong. Identify whether the graph forms a straight line or a curve. Of course, mapapansin nyo, curve yan. So, ito yung gist. Kapag nadi-divide nyo pa to na factorable pa to, kumbaga, kung ganito yung problem, huwag nyo natanggalin yan. Kung ganito yung problem, ayan, so medyo i-switch natin. P of x, that is x squared minus 1 over x plus 1. Kung ganyan, straight line siya. Bakit? Kasi itong x squared minus 1, pwede natin siyang represent as factors, di ba? Which is x plus 1 and x minus 1, di ba? By difference of two squares. So, divide natin siya sa x plus 1. So, maka-cancel sa x plus 1. Okay, maka-cancel. So, natira, x minus 1. Pero, anong pinagkaiba niya sa x minus 1? Oops. Ayan, x minus 1. Pero, anong pinagkaiba nito? Nitong original sa x minus 1. Halos same lang yan sila, bukod sa itong graph na to ay may butas at x minus 1 kasi indeterminate siya at that point. Okay, pag ganun indeterminate, that is 0 over 0. Try natin. Okay, p of x, that is, palitan na natin pala. Yung x, palitan na natin ng value which is negative 1. Ayan. So, negative 1 squared minus 1 over negative 1 plus 1. Simplifying this, 1 squared, that's 1, minus 1, that's 0, and negative 1 plus 1, that is also 0. And this is an indeterminate form. Indeterminate form, ayan. So, ayan. Kasi, ano ba mananaw dyan? Kasi ang alam natin, kapag something divided by something, that is equal to 1. Pero, any number, any 0 divided by any number, kaya na lang, 0 divided by any number is 0. So, who wins? 1, 0. Indeterminate form siya. Ganun lang yun. Okay? So, since ganyan siya, same lang siya ng graph sa x minus 1. Ano ba yung graph x minus 1? Paano nga ba yun? Paano i-graph x minus 1? Ganito lang yan. Ang kailangan lang natin dyan ay y-intercepts. Okay, so ito, y is equal to x minus 1 or palitan natin ng f of x. Ayan. Kunin muna natin ang x-intercept niya. Kasi ganito yan. Kapag in Euclidean geometry, kapag may two lines ka, isang line lang ang mabubuo mo dyan. Okay, isang line lang. Kaya, pag nakuha mo na yung x-intercept at y-intercept, makukuha mo na yung graph. Okay, yung sketch ng graph or ng straight line. Okay? Ganyan siya. For example, kunin muna natin yung x y-intercept. That is x is 0. So 0 minus 1, f of 0 is, that's equal to 0 minus 1, that's negative 1. In other words, para makuha mo yung y-intercept, kunin mo lang yung constant. Constant natin is negative 1. Diba? So, 0, negative 1. So, andito siya. Yan yung isang point. Pwede nating levelan yun kasi di naman nakagugulo. Like yung sa kanina, siya nung komplikado. So, ayan. So, next is the x-intercept. That is kapag y mo naman equal to 0. Y equals x minus 1, then y equals to 0, yeah, and x minus 1. So, x is equal to 1. So, x is equal to 1, and y equals 0. So, ayan siya. 1, 0. So, ayan. Since may 2 points ka na, ayan. So, makabubuo ka na ng line out of that. Ayan. So, ayan yung graph ni x is equal, y equals x minus 1. Y equals x minus 1. So, anong pinagkaiba? Halos ganito lang din to. Pero, at x equals negative 1, which is andito pala, butas siya. Okay, whole siya. Ganyan yung pinagkaiba. Okay, butas itong graph na to. Okay, yung equation na yan, kapag pin-login mo yan, butas siya at this point. Kasi, nga naman, yung x, palitan mo ng minus 1. So, negative 1 square minus 1. So, may 0 over 0. Then, may ganyan bang value? Wala. Indeterminate form, iyan. Kaya, butas or whole. And then, sa calculus, may tawag tayo dyan. Okay, that is what we call removable discontinuity. Okay, kasi pag sinabi nating discontinuous siya, hindi mo siya masusulat ng tuloy-tuloy. Diba? Kasi, in order to write that graph, hindi mo siya masusulat ng tuloy-tuloy kasi need mo pang mag-break. Diba? Need mong iangat yung pen mo. O, ganyan. So, since may hole siya, tawag din dyan is missing point. So, ayan. Sasagot na natin yung tanong. Identify whether the graph forms a straight line or a curve. Of course, it's a curve. Diba? Hindi naman siya straight line. Pero kung yung kanina, yung tanong, ayan, straight line siya pero may butas. So, pwede hindi natin matawag na straight line kasi need mo iangat yung pen. And that's it.